Welcome to the Modern Real Estate Investor Podcast, where we interview the biggest and most successful real estate entrepreneurs, investors, and capital raisers in the world to provide you with the tool sets, the mindsets, and the skill sets to help you conquer yourself, your life, your marriage, and use real estate as your wealth creation vehicle so that you can live a more successful, happy, and fulfilled life of growth and contribution. If what you're after is having it all, if what you desire is becoming the best version you can be across all areas, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, sentimentally, and financially, you've come to the right place. We will bring to you the best of the best real estate entrepreneurs who will give you the insights, knowledge, experience, and skills so that you can go out and crush it financially and across all areas of your life. Grab pencil and paper, sit back, enjoy, and you are welcome to the Modern Real Estate Investor Podcast. Hello, Modern Kings and Queens. Welcome to another episode of the Modern Real Estate Investor Podcast. As always, I have an incredible guest with me today that I'm super excited to get to talk to, learn from, and connect with. But before I introduce this Modern King to you, though, I just want to ask all of you for a favor. I want to ask you to please, if you get something out of this interview, if you get some type of value, some insights, if you learn a new skill, if you get a mindset shift, if you get some inspiration or even some motivation to go out and take some action and keep on moving forward towards your goals, please share this episode with some of your friends. Share it with someone who you know this will impact. Share it with someone who might be interested in real estate. Share it. And for all of you who do share it and help us spread our message and move our mission forward of helping men become modern kings and queens, I say thank you. So today I have a special guest. His name is Danny Bellish.
Bellish, yep.
Bellish, okay. I'm Mexican, man, so I sometimes have problems with names. But his name is Danny Bellish, and him and his wife are co-founders of the Bellish team, a real estate investing firm dedicated to helping passive investors preserve and build wealth through strategic real estate acquisitions. As former New York City advertising executive, they spent 15 years managing multi-million-dollar marketing budgets for some Fortune 500 most recognizable brands, but then decided to pivot into real estate in 2018, so not too long ago, in the pursuit of more passive income. In 2021, in their first 8 months as general partners in real estate, they raised $3 million in private capital from passive investors, and today they're principals for a net lease fund and general partners for over 696 units and equity partners for 1,111 units with over $126 million across a bunch of states. So in a very short amount of time, they were able to go from just pivoting into real estate, not knowing anything about it, I believe, to growing pretty fast. So I'm super excited to get to talk to you, Danny. Thank you very much for your time, man. And you're welcome to the show.
Thanks. I appreciate you having me here. And I got to say, as we were talking about before, I love the message that you're bringing and trying to, obviously deliver some more inspiration and motivation to your network, but, bring people up to a standard, right? A standard of living, a standard of happiness, a standard of success, and giving them the tools to do that and giving them an opportunity to learn from people who, they may aspire to be or admire. And it's a great program that you got going on here.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. I've been pouring my heart and soul into this mission for the past 3 years when I found out that this is what I was supposed to do, or, I got a feeling, and I've been pouring my heart and my soul into this. And now, I have another podcast where I interviewed over 200 really successful men. It was called The Modern Gentleman's Talk, because before I turned it into Modern King, it was called The Modern Gentleman. And it's been a great ride. And now I'm doing it more focused, and by focusing on like my mission and what I believe I'm here for, I've been just like my journey has just been smooth, right? And I wake up every day happy to get to play the game, and without expecting any kind of results or anything, and without expecting it. But funny enough, I'm getting them. So it's pretty cool. Like it's a pretty cool feeling to have that I haven't yet. And I don't know how to articulate yet, but it's pretty cool. And you might know what I mean. But thank you, man. And the first thing that I do with my guests is I actually ask them to walk us through their real estate investing journey in 75 seconds or less.
Wow, 75 seconds. You let me know when the clock starts because I'll talk as fast as I can. I'm from Queens, New York. I could talk pretty fast. But essentially, so, the wife and I, we were in the New York City advertising business. We knew that we wanted to create more passive income and financial freedom for ourselves. So we started by getting our real estate licenses in both New York and New Jersey. After getting our real estate licenses and kind of learning the ropes of how to buy and sell properties and getting to know a little bit more about contracts and lending, we then purchased our first duplex investment property, a 2-unit total gut renovation 100-year-old property. Long story short, we ended up working with a total nightmare contractor, and it ended up being the best worst thing that's ever happened to us. So we quickly decided after exiting that project, or coming out the other side of that project, that wasn't the best way for us to really scale and for both my wife and I to create financial freedom for us. How are we going to duplicate this over and over and over again in order to reach, the goals that we wanted to? So we ended up going to a meetup in Manhattan that was for purchasing multifamily out of state. And that's where we learned about something called real estate syndication, which is essentially where investors pool their funds together in order to buy large, often expensive commercial assets. And it's led by someone who is most often really experienced, has a lot of units or a lot of assets under management. And essentially, we invested passively to start, and then we decided that we wanted to get involved. And we've spent the last 3 years as syndicators, and we kind of grew from that first duplex to now, like you said, almost 700 units and $125 million in assets under management. So partnering with experts has been the way that we were able to go from 0 to, I won't say 100, but 90 in just a few short years. Was that 75 seconds or
That was
did I
great,
beat the
man.
clock?
You went a little bit over, but it was great. I
Okay.
really enjoyed it. So this morning I actually watched a TikTok from Dan, the guy that is really like jacked and he has a lot of money, Dan something, and he was telling a story about a man, right? Like something happened, something bad happened to this man, and then people came and said, "Oh, this bad thing happened to you, and is it bad?" Right? They asked him, and he was like, "Maybe," right? And then later, his son broke his leg, right? It's a bad thing. It's a bad thing. Oh, your son broke your leg, right? Like, right? It's bad, right? Maybe, right? Later, a war starts, and then kids were getting drafted to war, and then his kid did not get drafted because of his leg, and then they were like, "Your kid did not get drafted. That's a good thing, right?" And then he's like, "Maybe," right? So and the lesson was that maybe, like, nothing is bad or good, right? It depends on how you want to look at it, and depends on how if you were able to learn from that event. And you said right now, right, buying that duplex, pretty not that good property. Not the person who sold it to you wasn't that good either, right? And it was the best worst thing ever, right? So, I've heard a lot of stories of multifamily real estate investors that finally have the shift of, oh, before going into multifamily, they were like investing in houses and pretty small properties. But then they got the shift and they were like, if I ever want to scale, right, I gotta go bigger. So why was it that this was the best worst thing ever, man? Did you get that some kind of shift like that, or what happened?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, first of all, let me just go back to something that you were talking about. So I watched that same sort of story, right? I think one that I read was about, the farmer, and it's the same story about how, he stays even keel no matter what, right? Nothing is ever a good thing or a bad thing. It's just a thing, and you see how life unfolds.
Hello, morning kings and queens. At my company, Millionaire Network Automation, we believe in the power of networking. We believe that in real estate, your net worth is your network. This is why we help real estate investors raise capital by connecting them with their ideal investors and helping them build a massive network of their ideal investors in less than 30 days and with only 4 hours of work per week. If you're interested in this, click the link below in the description of this podcast to learn how you can propel your growth with a reliable system that will consistently help you connect with your ideal investors build trust, add value, get your investors to promote you and put you in front of more of their investor friends, and raise more capital faster and in a much more effortless way so that you can achieve your financial freedom and still have the time and the energy to pour into every single other area of your life. So go watch the training, and you're going to have the opportunity to book a call to talk about how you can get this 100% done for you system implemented in the next 5 days. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you later, and enjoy the rest of this episode. Bye-bye.
And I think that was one of the biggest lessons that I got, not just from that deal, but from other instances in my career, and now even dealing with commercial assets on a much larger scale, right? You have good things and bad things that happen every single day. But if you get too emotional about the business that you're in or about some of these assets, it's going to lead you to make more irrational decisions, right? You have to stay even keeled. You have to trust in your experience, and you have to trust in the longevity of these things. So essentially, in this particular deal that we got into, it's in a fantastic location that's up and coming. It was a duplex that was a 100-year-old total gut renovation job. And we took all of our experience from our careers, which, did include a lot of logistics and, project management and things like that, but nothing hands-on and handy and actually doing construction work, right? So we got a reference for a contractor that ended up turning out to be a total nightmare situation. So this guy, he was sort of a glorified handyman versus being a general contractor. And he kind of bait and switched us. We thought that he was bringing in a crew. He ended up doing all of the work himself. And a 3-month project turned into 9 months. We went $50,000 over budget. My wife and I were at the property until 3, 4 o'clock in the morning every day, trying to pour footings, do the paint, do the landscaping, everything that we could do in order to, start cash flowing, get some tenants in, do our cash out refinance, and start cash flowing on the property, because, this was everything to us. So essentially, after we ended up doing a cash out refinance, basically taking out a lot of the equity that we put into it with our renovation, and we filled it with great tenants, and it's cash flowing really well today. But to my point earlier, we just kind of looked at each other after that project was done and said, how are we going to replicate this over and over again in order for us to get to the place that we want to be? And frankly, the place that we want to be is not just for us to be financially free and for us to live a modest lifestyle, but for us to live a nice lifestyle. And not only that, be able to provide for the family and friends that are around us, because that's something that's really important to us. And I like nice cars. I like to go on vacation. I like the things in life that I like. So we wanted to aspire to more, and we didn't see that as necessarily being the path to do so. So essentially, from that project, our first inkling was, okay, can we get into a market that maybe has lower barrier to entry, aka, lower cost basis, lower purchase price, lower taxes potentially, and can be more, landlord friendly or business friendly. So we went to a meetup in Manhattan that was for purchasing multifamily out of state. And we thought this was for duplexes, triplexes, quads. And it turned out to be about syndication that our now partners were the keynote speakers for. So they were talking about 200, 300 unit apartment complexes, big, development projects, retail net lease assets, and all of these different amazing things that, you kind of only see on TV, or I'm from New York. Like I said, you walk around, you see these skyscrapers. This is the kind of stuff that these guys were talking about, and that you could get involved in these types of projects as a passive investor. And at first, they were talking about the potential returns of these deals, and they were just as good, if not better, than my nightmare project that I put all this blood, sweat, and tears into. And
the returns you're talking about?
What?
The returns you're talking about?
the returns of these passive deals in syndication were just as good as me being a total hands-on investor for 9 months.
Got it.
So that was kind of shocking to me. And, I was a little skeptical at that time, right? And I was kind of like, I don't know, I'm supposed to just hand you over money into this project in a different state that I don't live in and expect you to operate it in a type of way. And, to make a long story short, we ended up doing about 9 months of due diligence on these individuals, their track record, the markets they invest in, we spoke to their investors, their attorney. We went on site visits. We traveled the country, and we were probably the most annoying passive investors there are by asking
Yeah.
so many questions to these guys. We ended up investing passively in 2 of their deals after feeling comfortable. And that's what kind of led us into this journey of, wow, first of all, we got proof of concept because we started getting quarterly distributions. And we were like, this works. Like a
You were a
total
product
light
of the
bulb went
product
on.
now.
Yeah, we were sold. And it taught us that this is something that is scalable, right? If you just go a little bit bigger, you can really kind of take advantage of the economies of scale of all of these potential units or these different asset classes. So we knew that that's what we wanted to venture into. And that's kind of where my wife and I had a moment of realization, but then another challenge of, now, how do we break into this space without all of the real estate syndication and commercial investing experience?
Damn, that's a great story, man. It's so exciting, right? That you got introduced to that environment and boom, it opened up your mind to completely different and bigger possibilities. But before I ask you something about that, I just want to go back to the previous thing that we talked about, right? About not being too emotional and being able to have like a neutral view of everything. I actually, man, have an amazing definition for wisdom. All right. So take a look at this. Wisdom is the speed at which you are able to transcend any circumstance or event, neutralize it, and get the lesson. Right. So something happens, right? You transcend it. It's not bad. It's not good. It's neutral, right? And you're able to like learn the lesson to just like if that's something that you don't want to happen in the future, you learn the lesson to not let it happen, right? And if it's something that's good, well, you want to learn the lesson so that you can know what made it happen, and then keep on producing more of those results. But yeah, that's
I
ever
love
since I
that.
was able to
I
the
mean,
finish.
I love that definition. The reality is like we're all human, right? We all have emotions. And when you invest in something and it's takes a lot of your money, a lot of your time, a lot of your effort, it's stressful. It's human nature to have emotional responses to the highs and lows of it, right? But the most successful investors in the world are the ones who can put their emotions aside, find their wisdom, and be able to course correct based on the information that they have at hand versus taking an emotional response and using that to fuel whatever your next move is.
Yeah. So if you imagine that like a chessboard has, and I'm gonna come back to the question that I wanted to. I haven't forgotten about that, right? But a chessboard has like black squares and white squares, right? That's life. And normally in your life, it's like you can't see which square is white and which square is black. Most people go through life wanting to avoid all the black squares, right? With the bad things, and wanting to just step on the white things. Other people, right, step on a white thing and then they don't want to move. They stay stuck. They stop growing and they stay comfortable. But that's unrealistic, right? Like you just gotta go through the chessboard without knowing whether you're going to stand up on a black square, on a white square. What you gotta do is embrace it. So actually, man, something that happened to me in the last couple of months was that my company, Millionaire Network Automation, we believe in the power of networking, right? And we help real estate investors raise capital by connecting them with their ideal investors. And we have a service, we have a done for you service. And a couple of months ago, about 8 months ago, I literally went bankrupt, right? I had a bunch of clients, all from different industries. And I had used my system. We actually use podcasting as a networking tool to connect with ideal investors, right? and I had a podcast, and I had interviewed over 200 very successful entrepreneurs, and I had an amazing network. And now I was selling that, right? And I had a bunch of clients from different industries. It was really tough to manage. It was a lot of work, a lot of team members, and I just couldn't handle it anymore. And I just went bankrupt, right? And I failed and I crashed, right? And then I used my network, and through one connection, I was able to land like an opportunity, right? I'm partnering in a company, in a real estate development company right now. This is where I am right now. And in a couple of months, I went from like literally thought that I was failing. Right? I went down. I lost all my team members. I had like 22 employees. I had to fire them all because I didn't have any money to pay them. I threw an event for 100 people and 10 people went. It was pretty bad, right? But that led me to connect with someone who really liked my networking system, invited me to become a partner. I don't know anything about real estate development, but I do know about connecting with investors and getting anyone to say yes to connect with me. And and I was able to like niche down and find an industry that really wants what I have to offer. So now I don't have a bunch of clients from a bunch of different industries. I have a system, a service that is completely systemized, and that doesn't require any of my attention to, to be delivered. So, that thing at the moment, it felt like it was really bad, right? But it was actually the source of everything and all the blessings that I'm living right now, man, which is incredible. Like, it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
And that's probably the case with everything, right? So if you're watching this, right, me, modern king, modern queen out there watching this, if you're going through any hard time, just know that that will be the source of a lot of your blessings in the future. And instead of having to wait 6 months for you to look back and learn the lesson, you can try to learn the lesson right now and speed the process up, the process up, and just embrace the process. So yeah, man, that's all I got to
This
say.
is one thing that I'll say sort of in conjunction with what you're saying, which was a big learning for me, right? Especially in the real estate investing space, but in entrepreneurship in general, is people value control a little bit too much. And what I mean by that is I would have rather partnered with someone who had flipped a number of deals before, had worked in renovation and different real estate investing projects. I would have rather partnered with someone who knew what they were doing, some sort of expert, taken half of the profit versus all of the, 9 months of blood, sweat, and tears that I went through. So you don't always have to learn the hard way in order to do something or accomplish something. Don't focus too much on you want control, you want to drive it forward. Find great partners, and it does take a skill to actually find great partners who complement your skill sets. But it's okay to go and reach out even to people above you and try to make great partners. So that actually kind of leads to the next part of the story. So we kind of ended the story with, we invested passively with these two guys and decided that this was an avenue that we wanted to take. And we were kind of wondering, how do we break in? So my wife and I come from an advertising, marketing, branding, investor relations background. So we essentially took it upon ourselves to do an entire audit of these two individuals and their entire business. So at the time, they had about $500 million in assets under management. Now it's probably north of 6, maybe north of 700 million. So these guys are major players in the space across 7 different states, thousands upon thousands of units. So we had to figure out the right way to build and bridge a connection with them. So we did an entire audit of their business from a marketing standpoint, from a branding standpoint. Now that we were investors, we understood what their communications were with their investors, what their investor relations was. We looked at their social media. We looked at their websites, we looked at all of their materials, and we basically wrote an entire presentation of how they could better their business in all of those different areas to get more investors, to get brokers to pay attention and give them better deals, to have a better experience so that they can expand their business even further. We asked them for an hour of their time. We presented this to them, and they absolutely loved it. And we basically said that we would execute it for them totally for free, pro bono. And we'd never asked for anything in return. So we basically consulted on their business for them for an entire year in these areas. And in that process, we became really good friends with them. They got to see that we were diligent and, punctual and energetic. And anytime they said, "Hey, we're jumping on a flight to Texas to go look at a property. We're flying out to Cleveland to go look at, another property," we were on a plane the next day on our way there. So they knew that they could trust us. So after about a year of building this rapport, we went to them and said, "Hey, we've spent all this time, working with you. What do you think about us coming with you and partnering with you to take down some of these deals?" And they immediately said, "Absolutely. We have a 293 unit apartment complex that we're closing in Cleveland, Ohio. Why don't you come in as our partners?" And that was like the start of our commercial investing journey.
That's crazy, man. So that's how you broke in. You went with someone who already had experience, already had a track record, was already like established, and you went and provided value.
Yeah, so honestly, like a few things. So I used to do this in my career all the time in advertising. I would really just try to go to the most successful person in the room or the CEO of our company. Or let's say, we had an event and there was a host or a guest speaker. Every time I attended one of those events, I would write handwritten thank you notes to every one of those speakers and every one of those individuals. So it ended up putting me in a better circle, a better network, even at a younger age, just like the situation that you're in right now. So when we knew that we wanted to get into commercial investing, I actually tried that same method with like 5 other big operators, big syndicators, big commercial real estate investors. These guys were just the ones that actually took to the information that we gave them, absorbed, um, the types of tips and guidance that we were offering, and we were able to build a friendship. So it does take time, but don't ever be afraid to reach out to people that you admire and offer them your services, your value. It's not always helpful to say, "Hi, I'm looking for a mentor, I want to add value, how can I help you?" Because oftentimes these guys are very successful, they're very busy, they don't necessarily know how they can get you to help them. They don't know all of your skill sets. So sometimes you just kind of got to take the bull by the horns and you got to just start doing the work and then offer it for them.
Yeah, man. Actually, as part of something, one thing that we teach as part of the service that we offer is something called the opportunity capitalization part. Opportunity capitalization. So basically, we connect people with the people who have the opportunities that they need to achieve their goals. And once you're connected with someone who has the opportunity that you need to achieve your goals, well, you gotta ask for the opportunity, right? And there's 3 things that happen. Either you ask and you get it, right? You win. You ask and you don't get it, you learn, or you don't ask and you lose, right? You want to know what happens to most people, man? They don't ask,
Right. Of
right?
course.
They just don't ask,
Well,
right?
it's a
Because of fear.
self-defeating prophecy, right? It's like people, they don't have the confidence. They think, "Why is this person going to listen to me? I can't do it, or I have nothing to offer." That's not true. Literally everybody has something to offer. But I will say, especially in this business, it's not easy. Don't come in and expect it to be easy, right? You got to work your tail off in order to be successful in any entrepreneurial world. But if you can show and not always just ask for things, but if you could show that you are hardworking, if you could show that you are loyal and diligent, people will recognize that. But you're the only person who's going to advocate for yourself and speak up for yourself. So speak up, raise your hand, show up, say yes to everything, and just kind of insert yourself in the situation that you want to be in.
Yeah, so you can ask and get, you can ask and you win, right? You can win, you can learn, or you can lose. And talking about winning, right? You have this wealth investor network, right? Which and talking about network, by networking, by going to a meetup was actually how you got introduced to this world of thinking bigger, right? Of this world of, instead of investing into a duplex, you could actually go bigger and invest in hundreds of units, right? In deals that have hundreds of units and syndicates. So networking, man, the importance of network. So can you tell me a little bit about the wealth investor network that you have, and what made you want to start that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we love our Win network. So essentially that was born out of me going to a ton of real estate investing meetups, right? Where they have
Hmm.
all over the country in every city, right? But I was going to so many of these meetups that were focused on flipping houses, small projects, wholesaling, a bunch of realtors and lenders there, and it just wasn't the type of crowd that I was looking for. And frankly, I kind of found that I was giving a lot more value than I was getting, which I'm okay for the most part. But if I could create something for myself or a group that is strictly for people who are thinking bigger, right? People who want to get into commercial real estate investing and take down big multi-million dollar deals, whether you are an active investor, a passive investor, or you're just kind of getting started, but you know that that's the path that you want to go on. That's why we created that, and that's sort of what we've seen. So a lot of these events that we host attract those types of people. And what we try to do at each one of these events are, again, a little bit different from the things that we've seen. A lot of those real estate investing meetups, they take place during some happy hour, right? They're kind of a mixer of some sort. So one thing that we like to do is we like to make our events super active. So we're either going on a hike, or we're going to Top Golf, or we are, doing something that has a little bit more flow to it. We even did a tour of a brewery, right? We can still make it fun, but we want it to be a little bit outside of the box, and we want it to be more active. The other things that we do are, no matter how many people are there, every single person introduces themselves. So we have, whether it's 10 people or 100 people, every single person in the room gets a chance to introduce themselves. Then at another point throughout the night, we talk about an active deal, right? Whether it's a deal that I have or somebody else has that's available for people to invest in, so that people could see how these deals work. What is the strategy behind them? And then they can come to me and ask me any question that they want. So there's a lot of facets to it of learning about how to scale up in a much bigger way if that's what you're looking for.
Cool. So so is that for people who want to invest passively and actively?
Yeah, essentially, it's for people who want to participate in commercial investing conversations. So
In whatever way, right?
yeah. So we get
Cool.
both. We get passive investors who have day jobs, right? People who are doctors and lawyers, all the way to teachers, retirees, veterans, and they show up. They know they want to invest in real estate. They know they should be investing in real estate, but they have day jobs. They don't have the time or the inkling or the resources or the experience to be taking down commercial real estate for themselves. So that's why they rely on experts to do it. And some of these meetups allow them to learn more about it and get to know us as operators too.
Cool. I really like that, man. So if I'm an investor, I know I've chosen to use real estate as my wealth creation vehicle to achieve my financial freedom, but I'm not entirely active yet, right? And I want to participate passively and have the opportunity to invest in big commercial deals without having to know how to manage them and operate them. And I'm interested in that group, in the WIN group, in the Wealth Investor Network. Where should I go? Where can I, get, I don't know, access or communicate or yeah, where can I learn more about that, man?
Yeah, so I mean, we have a Facebook group for WIN Wealth Investor Network, but honestly, I am an open book. I like talking to people. I had a lot of people help me. So I encourage people to reach out to me. They can either follow us at the Bellish team on Instagram or reach out to me directly, Danny at thebellishteam.com. Because honestly, I learned the most about commercial investing from being a passive investor, and I got paid to do it. It's like getting paid to get an education. It's like the most amazing thing ever. So by being a passive investor, I got to have unfiltered access to someone who has been doing this for a decade, right? And has thousands of units under management. I got to ask them every question under the sun. I got to evaluate how they underwrite deals, how they, evaluate markets, how they get creative in their financing, how they raise capital from people, and how they implement a strategy and operate and asset manage a particular deal. So that was the best experience for me. And now we have a ton of investors who are aspiring syndicators, aspiring commercial investors. And we take the time now to walk them through how we underwrite a deal, how we go through our financial modeling, how we raise money for it, how we even bring them on site. So my wife and I had 30 investors come out to Cleveland, fly out to Cleveland. We had them stay in one of our partners' hotels, and we rented a party bus and took them to B-class multifamily, C-class multifamily, new development projects, an office to multifamily conversion, a historic property. And we spent the time to really get to know them, but also educate them on exactly what commercial investing is all about so that they could feel comfortable to go out and do it themselves if that's what they want to do.
Damn. I just learned about the ultimate hack, man. For anyone out there who wants to start getting into multifamily real estate investing, commercial real estate investing, but don't know how, right? Well, invest. And then you can have the opportunity to do 9 months of due diligence and ask those the operators, right? The general partners, whatever you want. So that's a great hack, man. That's, in my opinion, the ultimate hack ever.
And
Yeah.
that's what I lived, right? Like a lot of people, of course, like I'm a syndicator now, I'm an operator now. I have deals going on. So, the perception is, oh, of course he's going to say that. It's not that way. I live that life. I was a passive investor, and that's where I learned the most. And that's just being real.
And then you become a product of the product, right? I used to sell insurance. There was this saying that you were supposed to buy an insurance policy, right, from the guy on top, right? Because it's like a pyramid, from the guy on top, so that you could be a product of the product. And whenever you were going to sell to someone, actually feel good selling it to them because you had one and you believe it in the bottom of your heart that they should have one as well. So now that you've invested passively into real estate and you made money while learning, right? You totally 100% believe, and no one will tell you otherwise, that is one of the best ways that you can do. That's one of the best things that you can do to, number one, get informed about real estate. Number two, get around the people that are doing it so that you can start doing it too, right? You're a product of the product. And now when someone invests in your deals, you feel good about it because you know about the opportunity that you're giving to them, right?
So there's another part to that too. So, I mean, this is a little bit of a hack also, right? So once I invested in my first deal, it was like 250 A-class units in Dallas, Texas, right? I was a total passive investor, still a novice in commercial real estate. But what that did for me is, my wife and I live in New Jersey now. So I came back to New Jersey after investing in that deal. And I told everybody at these real estate investing meetups, I told lenders, potential partners, that I was an equity partner in a 250 unit, $15 million apartment complex.
Cool.
You know how much credibility that took me from here to here in terms of credibility, and everybody in that room wanted to have a conversation with me. So it not only helped me from an educational standpoint, but it helped me from a respect and credibility in the real estate investing community standpoint, which I think genuinely was almost as important.
Cool. I really like that, man. Great hacks, right? That are really easy to implement. So And talking about, going to meetups and networking, how were you and your wife able to raise $3 million in your first 8 months?
Um, it was a whatever it takes attitude. Absolutely. It once we got our opportunity, right, to participate in that 293 unit deal, part of the conversation was, it's up to all of the general partners collectively to raise the money for this deal. And what we needed for the down payment, the closing costs, the renovations and reserves of that particular deal was $5.5 million. So my partner said, "Do you think that, you and your wife can raise $1 million?" And at first we were like, "Whoa, I don't know about that." We've done multi-million dollar deals in, corporate advertising many times over, but never going to your own network, your friends and your family, and having them invest, $50,000 a pop. And we literally went to every person we've ever met in our entire lives to get this done. And it's a combination of a number of things. First and foremost, education, right? You have to educate people on the opportunities, the risks, how it works, and everything in between. And that's where a lot of our marketing and social media comes into play. You have to care about people first, right? You can't be salesing people or forcing something down their throat. It has to be genuine. And you have to understand what it is that they are looking for. It's not just about forcing your deal on them. It's about getting to know them as an individual, getting to know their family, what they do for work, what their ultimate goal is, so that you can help them and help facilitate them achieving whatever that goal is. Because if you want to do this forever, if you want to be a commercial investor, it's not just about the one deal. It's about the next 10 deals.
Yeah.
And when you care about someone in a genuine type of way, and it's not just about getting them to invest in this deal, they're going to appreciate that, and appreciate your candor and your, ability to be sympathetic toward their needs versus your own. The other thing is relatability, right? Like, we have been where you are in a lot of circumstances, right? People who want more passive income know they want to invest in real estate. We were passive investors ourselves. I could tell you from A to Z what it's like to be a passive investor. I have a lot of people come to me now, and they want to go from never having invested in a syndication as a passive investor, and they want to be a general partner. And my biggest thing to them is, are you going to be able to be relatable to the people who are investing with you? Are you going to understand what their gripes are, what their concerns are, what their apprehensions are, if you don't go through it yourself? So I think that there was a lot of that. And we ended up luckily raising about $1.3 million for that first deal.
That's awesome, man. So then, all right. So you need education, relatability. Was there another one that I think I missed?
Being genuine. Being
Genuine.
genuine, and putting relationships first. It's got to all about be relationships. There are a couple other things, two other things that I'll quickly mention. One is communication. Always on communication, always being available, always being attentive is absolutely necessary. If people can't feel like they could reach you at any time, they're not going to hand you 50, 100, 250,000 plus dollars of their money if they feel like they can never get a hold of you when they need you. And the
Yeah.
last most important thing to me is transparency, right? When you're talking about these big deals, you're talking about a lot of numbers, you're talking about a lot of money, you have to be transparent with your investors, good, bad, or ugly, so that they know exactly what's going on at all times. And that is what helps build the trust and confidence that they will, appreciate over time.
I love that, man. That was great. That was a great way to close. Well, not close, but we do have a few minutes, man, and I do like to end my interviews with a couple of questions. So the first one, let me take them out. I forgot to take
What
them
do you
out.
got? Let's go.
All right, there you go. The first one is, what is a false belief that you had and that you see most beginners, most multifamily real estate investing beginners, commercial investor beginners have that is false and holds them back?
That you um, that you need to always stay small, right? That a lot of what you read is buy one duplex, then buy another one. Then once you have 10 duplexes, then sell them all and then you level up. You don't have to take that much time to level up. If you take the right steps and you partner with the right people, you can level up much more quickly than you think.
There you go. So partner with the right people. Is that the right step to take if you want to level up quicker?
Partner with experts if you want to scale.
There you go. Partner with experts. That's crazy, man. It's literally it. It's literally it. Partnering with experts. I wouldn't call myself a real estate developer if I wasn't partnered with, expert real estate developers, right?
And for a long time, I rested on the experience of my partners. When I talked to my investors on that first deal, I talked to them about the experience of my partners. It wasn't me. I was just the conduit in the middle, being a sponge, absorbing all of the information that I possibly could so that I could be better every time I do it.
Yeah. Great insight, man. Thanks. So the second question is, what do you know now? What piece of advice, knowing what you know now, what piece of advice would you give yourself at the beginning of your journey to make yourself have faster, smoother, and easier success?
Oh man. I could have told this to myself, but I don't know if my old self would have listened. But it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, where you really have to try to understand that no matter what, this is a long game and that there are going to be ups and downs throughout the entire process. Um, and use that to fuel yourself moving forward, but don't take too much emotion into every decision that you make.
Cool. Yeah, so there's gonna be ups and downs. But I would add, it's all an illusion, right? So like you control how you want to see it and how it affects you, right? It goes back to the definition of wisdom. It's the speed at which you're able to transcend a circumstance or event, neutralize it, and obtain the lesson from it.
Absolutely. And know that it's just part of the game, right? Does it suck in that moment? Absolutely. But it is part of being an entrepreneur and it's part of success, period.
There you go, man. Boom. The next question is, um, you got introduced to thinking big by going to a meetup, right? A networking event, and you were able to like have your breakthrough in the commercial real estate space through a connection through like one person who allowed you to partner after you having given value to them for a long time. So building relationships and networking is key to be successful in the real estate investing game, raising capital, finding deals, and all of that. So, what networking strategy or advice can you give on that, man?
I'll give two pieces of advice. One is, like I said before, this is a hack for me. And this is something that I've always done kind of throughout my career that helped put me in a different circle and now in a different circle of investors, but then in a different circle in my career that it allowed me to excel in my career much more quickly also. And that is showing admiration and appreciation for the people above you, for those people who are ultra successful, right? So don't be afraid of people who are ultra successful. Go and make those people your friend. Anytime you listen to a podcast and you admire the host or the guest, anytime you attend an event and you see somebody that's keynote speaking, if you read a book and you like the author of that book, write that person a note. Show them how much you appreciate them. You never know who is actually going to respond to you, who's actually going to give you the time of day. And if you put in enough effort, how they're just going to yank you up and bring you to a level that you never thought that you could attain.
That's awesome, man. Great insight. I actually make it a point or like a goal in my day to express gratitude to 3 people every single day, right? And one of those people is normally my wife or my kid, and the other two are like strategic, people that are not related to me, right? Like possible business partners or clients or whatever. But the reason this is so powerful is because gratitude, like if you take appreciation, what you said, honor, which would be almost the same as admiration, you're honoring, you're admiring someone, appreciation, honor, respect, and love, and you put them in a blender, you want to know what comes out? Gratitude juice, right?
Yep.
And I'm doing this every single day, right? And I'm just like, I just have a lot of people that have with whom I have positive relational bank accounts because I deposit into those bank accounts every single day. So
I love
great
that.
insight, man.
I love that. And the other quick thing that I'll say on that is, so many people go to networking events, and that's great. It's great that you're going to a networking event. But if you're not following up with anybody after that networking event, if you're not setting up coffees, lunches, drinks, dinners, going to sporting events, going to concerts, actually building relationships with people versus just going to an event, which anybody can do, you have to foster those relationships and you have to show those people that you are investing in them and then they will invest back in you. Not just financially, but in relationship and skill set in so many ways.
Awesome, man. And the last question is, what is an empowering belief that you should or must have to be successful in this game?
That's a great question. I think first and foremost that you're worthy of being there. You are worthy of being there, no matter who you are, where you come from, how, what level of education you are, what nationality you are, whatever it may be that, even a disability in some type of way. Don't let anything hold you back from feeling like you belong in that room. People come from every walk of life. And, what I've learned about entrepreneurship the most is you learn from other people's experiences, no matter what those experiences are. So always feel like you're worthy of being in the room and, do whatever you can, whatever it takes. It's got to be a whatever it takes attitude to be successful in this business. So go be in that room, own it, and offer your value to the world, and it'll come back to you.
Awesome. You are good enough, right? In the biggest marketing campaign in the world, 400 million to 1, you came first. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Right. So you came first, you came with a gold medal. It's just that, we're not reminded. So awesome, man. I really enjoyed this episode. Danny, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate you. And for anyone who wants to learn more about you, maybe they resonated at an emotional level with you. They're like, oh, I like this guy, right? And I really resonate with this guy, and I want to learn more from him. And I really like the tips that he gave. Where would be the best place for them to find more of you and your wife?
Yeah, so I'd say the two best places are, like I said, on social, mostly, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, at the Bellish team, Bellish with 2 L's. And our website, www.thebellishteam.com. Like I said, I'm an open book. I love meeting new people. I love talking to people about this. And anything that I can do to help, I'm here to do that.
Awesome, man. Thank you very much. I hope you have an awesome rest of your day. I'll see you later.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Modern Real Estate Investor Podcast. We want you to know that we love and appreciate you, and we are super grateful about being part of your journey of becoming a successful real estate entrepreneur and having it all. Please share this episode with a friend who you think will be impacted positively. Send it to someone who you know is interested in real estate and dreams of having it all and being the best they can be across all areas. And if you thought this episode was really valuable, share it on your social media as a post or a story. We have a special gift for all of those who contribute to the Modern Kings and Queens movement. So for those of you who decided to share this episode and help us spread our message, send me a message letting me know on any social media platform at Alex Ramirez, the Modern King. I have a special surprise for you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.